In the mining industry, besides being known to be not as fast on innovation as others, we have to deal with legacies of our past. We have to deal with mines that, like we see in the Copper Belt, but all over the world, that have been around 70 years, sometimes 100 years, 200 years. They left scars on the ground. There have been social patterns that may have worked 50 years ago that don't work today, but the mind still lingers on that. There is a rising expectation for what society expects, and now what society demands from the mining industry and from extractives in general. And we in the industry recognize that actually we have to make our own leapfrog and get ahead of that before we lose our license to operate. And I'm very mindful, and I came into KCM a little over a year ago. Stephen Din as the chief executive, stand up, Stephen, if you haven't met him. But we recognized a year ago you were reading about KCM too much in the newspapers for the wrong reasons. And we were recognizing that it was very difficult for us to protect our license to operate, to encourage our people, to motivate the next generation of students to want to work in the copper industry or KCM. So we've actually taken a lot of steps to look at what we're doing on the ground, how we're engaging with our employees, how we're working on our safety, how we're meeting and engaging with the government, and how also we're engaging with civil society. And I think that we've done a good job. We have a lot more to do, but this is increasingly the job of senior management in the mining company today. It's not just the cost of extraction, it's not just the technical details of getting it out of the ground or crushing it or turning it into copper product. It's about that interaction with all aspects of society. And I just want to use, in terms of that license to operate, my own theory about this, and it ties back with economic theory a bit, and that is that the stakeholder map for our license to operate is actually a series of concentric circles emanating from our business operation. And the most central part of that concentric circle is our employees. Are we treating our employees with respect? Are we engaging our employees? Are we keeping them safe? And if we can guarantee that every one of our employees can work 30 years and come home at the end of every shift to their family without being seriously hurt, we've done a good job. And if every employee feels confident that actually management is looking after their safety, then there's a closer engagement between the employees and the unions and the management and the businesses, and things start working better. In my career, the most efficient, most profitable businesses are always the safest businesses because things work, they don't break down. Everyone works, they work as a team, they don't work in different team members who are all competing against each other, and you see a better outcome. And that's a big part of what I know Stephen's driving at KCM, and it's so much the central part of that stakeholder license to operate. Because the next concentric circle past there are the communities. And those communities are the immediate, for us, the Chingold community, or to maybe a broader extent, the Copper Belt. The people that actually make the bulk of their living either directly or influenced indirectly by the operations, profitable operations of the mining businesses. We have to look at that relationship with our communities in a multifaceted way. First, remember that first concentric circle, those employees. Second, the management of the water, the management of the air, the management of the waste from those industrial operations has to be seen as being best of class and best practice. We at KCM, we have actually the cleanest smelter in the Copper Belt. Nobody ever knows about that. We don't talk about that. Maybe we should talk about that a little more, but it actually has a better air effect on that community than otherwise would be the case. We have a lot of water we produce. It's much cleaner than it was 10 years ago. We have to find a better use for that water as we go forward in the future, and that's something else we're talking and debating on now. But again, this is an important part of that immediate community relationship. The second community relationship is one which is to find that fine balance between providing support to the communities, sometimes philanthropic support, like CSR, corporate social responsibility, but not creating a dependency relationship between those communities and the employer. There has to be enough self-confidence in that community that they want to actually make their own decisions, engage in their own way. If they disagree with us, feel comfortable and confident to actually disagree with us, and also plot their own course for where they want to take the community. So in many cases in the mining sector, and I think that this is something that I've been cautioning our people, don't do so much corporate social responsibility that you create a dependency relationship with those communities. From an economics perspective, if you have that community, it can think about its own future business prospects. It's going to come up with its own ideas on what it does differently. And again, in this world where that computer is going to get more and more powerful, someone possibly in the community will come up with an idea to leapfrog either infrastructure or whatever else challenges are there. So we want to encourage that kind of thing in each of those respective communities. Ultimately, whether it's the first concentric circle or the second concentric circle, it's about a sense of mutual respect. Mutual respect between the company and the employees, mutual respect between the company and the communities. As we look beyond that concentric circle, we have to recognize, especially here in Zambia, where copper is just so important to the economic fortunes of the country, to the currency, to everything else, that a huge, huge stakeholder base for KCM and the Copper Belt is the entire country and economy of Zambia. And we have to actually be working in a way which is respectful. We have to also be working in a way which is transparent, that we have to make it absolutely clear that what we do in the country is open to scrutiny. What we make in the country is open to scrutiny. What we pay in taxes is open to scrutiny. And this has been a challenge. This has been a challenge because it's easy for mud to get slung. It's easy for mythology to be created. It's easy for us to make our own mistakes from time to time, and we create that atmosphere of distrust. And certainly from Stephen and my perspective, it's about, what can we do to be seen and tested to be seen that we are actually quite open and transparent. The company I came from, Rio Tinto, we were one of the original signatories with Prime Minister Blair of the UK of the EITI, the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. So again, I've got some skin in the game to make sure that if I'm involved in leading a company, that company better be seen to be fully transparent with everything it does. And then when we have that confidence of transparency, we can have the proper engagement with the government. And that is a progressive engagement, so we can be seen, this is what we think, these are the ideas. And again, it gets back to what I said with employees and communities, that element of mutual trust.